All right, here's the last lesson of this section of our unit, second section. Next, we'll be getting into using integers a lot more. But this is our last one, working with the coordinate grid. Today, we're going to deal with translations, reflections, rotations to change the positions of figures in a coordinate plane. Here's your warm-up. Plot the ordered pairs, so make a graph in your notes. Plot those four, and name the polygon it creates. Come back when you're done. Here are the results you should have gotten. You make a trapezoid. Longer end on top, shorter end on bottom. Hopefully I got that right. All right, let's get into our work here. So let's review a little bit. Sides, flips, and turns. These are the three big things that we're looking at. The official names are something else, but let's look into what these side, flips, and turns actually are. So first set of notes you're going to want to write down are transformations. These are the slides, flips, and turns. So there's different ways that these geometric shapes can move along the coordinate plane. We call them transformations. Next, let's talk about one of them, which is the slide. We call this a translation. A slide or translation is when a figure is moved from one place to another. With a slide, the object never leaves the surface. We just kind of slide it over back and forth. However, when we're drawing them on the coordinate plane, you just have to slide it over to a specific spot and redraw it. Flips. Flips are also known as reflections, like looking in the mirror like that guy is. So it's taking along the X or Y axis and literally flipping it. So it's going to be the opposite direction on the other side. And turns are also known as rotations. Here are a few examples of those. We're not going to get too much into that here. All right. Well, when I was in marching band, like we can see here at the University of California, Berkeley's marching band, bands always move on a coordinate plane. We call that the gridiron or the football field. And in this lesson, we're going to talk about how you can move from one spot to the next. So let's talk about translations first. So here's an example of a translation where the translation here is ABCD. It's written in blue, and it's going to be moving to the red spot. So a couple things. When we look in the directions, it says we're going to move 6 units left. So that means we have to take this whole shape here and move it over 6. Okay? So we're going -6 down the number line to a new spot. So A moves 6 times, D moves 6 times, B moves 6 times, and C moves 6 times. Now you're going to see this little apostrophe next to the A, B, and C and D over here. That means it's a prime. Basically, that means it's a replaced image. Okay, so we call it A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. Let's do one of these so we can see how it works. Let's get rid of all this junk. All right, this one I want you to put in your notes. So we're going to take this rectangle, and we're going to move rectangle ABCD 4 units to the left. So each vertex has to be moved 4 to the, 4 to the left. I don't know why I said that right here. So if we go to the left, A 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is A prime. B prime is going to move over 4 times, and it lands here. So that's B prime. C would move the same distance as A, just 1 down. That's C prime. And D would be right under B at D prime. So then you connect the dots. And now we're going to give our ordered pairs of A prime, B prime. Make sure you put that apostrophe, C prime, and D prime. Put my parentheses, comma, 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 comma. So for A, the new A is now over -3 up 2. B is over -1 up 2. C is over -3 up 1. And D is over I'm sorry, I have that. No, I have that right. D is -1, 1. So we took everything from being in quadrant 1 basically to quadrant 2. That's what we did by moving it 4 units to the left. Have this down before moving on. And again, this is what it should look like when it's all nice and pretty. All right, let's look at one more together. Now we have a square here, and we have to move the square 5 units to the right. Again, everything moves over 5 times, so I'll start with B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puts us here. And there's a difference of 3 in between them, so if I go back 3, that's where A prime is going to be. And then C and D, I'll just make sure they line up right underneath them with the prime. Connect the dots. And now A prime, the new set, B prime, the new set, C prime, the new set, and D prime, the new set. And I believe, if I do this right, here is the exact answers to this. So just by moving it over, we have new ordinate or ordered pairs for the prime of the shape. All right, your turn. So I have figure ABCD. We're going to move it 3 units up, and then go ahead and tell me what the new ordered pairs would be. That means you're going off the grid here. And for EFG, you're going to use that 4 units to the left. You should still be able to stay on the grid. Come back when you have your ABCD prime and EFG prime. Here are the answers you should have gotten for these two by translating it or just sliding them over. All right, let's get into example 2 now. So here we're going to look at reflecting. Reflecting is a little different in the sense that you're going to be looking at the shape in a flipped order on the other side. So here we're looking at ABC, that's in blue. A prime, B prime, and C prime are in red. So it says go across the y-axis. So you got to know that that's the line of reflection that goes up and down. And we can see that both start 2 units away from the line of reflections. So you got to just move 2 over and start copying them down. And make sure they go in opposite directions, because a reflection always is in the opposite form. Let's do one together. So we're going to go about the y-axis. So this is our line of reflection. And if we see here, R starts over 1 to the right, so it's going to have to start over 1 to the left for R prime. And then if we look, S goes over 2 and up 2, so we got to go over 2 and up 2 on the other side. And T would be spot across. So we can see that we still have the triangle, but this time they're in opposite directions because it's a reflection. So R prime, S prime, and T prime, boom, look like this. So you can see that we moved it over and they're facing different directions, but now we can see that R is at -1, 0, S is at -2, 2, and T is at -2, -2, and they're right across that y-axis like the y's the mirror. So again, here's another example where we reflect across the x-axis. So we're going to do this one along the x-axis. Now, when we're going along the x-axis here, our line of reflection, 2 of our ordered pairs is actually on that line. So when we make our primes of A and C, they don't have to move at all. The only one we have to move would be B. And that goes up 1, 2, 3 from the center, so it's got to go down. So B prime, A prime, and C prime are going to be the same, so it's going to look like, boom, this. So A prime and C prime are still the same ordered pairs, 1, 0, and 5, 0. The only one that's different is 3, -3 now instead of 3, 3 for B prime. Okay, there's 2 of them here. I want you to try to reflect about the axis that is given. So number 3, you're going to take ABCD, that same square we looked at before, and you're going to move it across the x-axis. So it's going to go from quadrant 1 to quadrant 4. And EFG is going to go across the y-axis, another one where 2 of the dots are going to not move, only one has to flip. Good luck. So here are the answers you should have got. I even redrew them so you can see what they look like. Hopefully yours match. We'll give you a little bit of time here to look at them before we move on. Rotating, I'm just going to show you here. So if we were told to rotate, this is what it would look like, where you'd have to find the one spot near the origin and twist it 90 degrees. This is a pretty tricky one. We're not going to get into it this year, but I do want you to see it's a rectangle that goes left and right. Now it goes up and down because it was rotated 90-degree turn. So here is an example of one where we're going to move this counterclockwise. This is what it would look like. Here's one where we have JKL. We're going to flip it 180 degrees, which basically means we're making a reflection of it. And then I'm going to skip this part so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so go ahead and look at just questions 1 and 2. Do not worry about 3, just do questions 1 and 2. When you're done, move on to the quiz. And I crossed out number 3, as you can see here. So number 1 and 2 is all I need you to do. So go ahead and work on those. And then when you're done, that's it. Okay, so we looked at sliding, we looked at reflecting, and we kind of talked about rotating, but you didn't have to do any of the work with it. Hopefully you did really well. That ends the second section of this unit. You'll be taking a quiz, and then it's on to the third section of this unit after this.